comprehensively dishonest man who posed as a solicitor in court despite having no legal qualifications has been jailed for 10 months. Richard Lipscombe, 47, worked for a construction firm on a civil case for more than a year before his deception was exposed. A Sheffield Crown Court judge said he showed complete contempt for the law. Mr. Lipscombe of Parkview Road, Sheffield, admitted acting as a solicitor whilst unqualified. The court heard he provided legal services for London-based construction firm Build Team Holborn between January 2015 and October 2016. His work involved representing the company in litigation brought by a customer in June 2015. Catherine Lloyd, representing the Solicitors Regulation Authority (SRA), said Mr. Lipscombe purported to be a genuine solicitor in communication with the claimant's legal team and before a district judge at the Mayors and City of London Court. He also submitted paperwork signed off as a general counsel, which claimed he was a grade A fee earner with the last 8 years litigation experience. His deceit unravelled when the customer's legal team grew concerned about his conduct during a May 2016 court hearing and began investigating his background, a court heard. It emerged Mr. Lipscombe had been banned from working for legal companies in any capacity since August 2015. The SRA issued a ban after an investigation found Mr. Lipscombe, whilst employed as a paralegal for a law firm, Neil Hudgell Limited, had worked for a client without the company's knowledge. As a result of Mr. Lipscombe's deception, Build Team Hobson was forced to settle its case at a cost of £250,000. Mr. Lipscombe pleaded guilty at Southwark Crown Court in 2020 to acting as a solicitor whilst unqualified and carrying on legal activity when not entitled. He was taken into custody in March this year after failing to appear at 6 previous sentencing hearings. Francis Adisi, in mitigation, said his client was in poor health and had been finding prison difficult, but Judge Jeremy Richardson KC said he had no choice but to impose a custodial sentence on the defendant, who he said was unhampered by any scruples and displaying complete contempt of the rule of law. The judge told Mr. Lipscombe, "You purported to be a solicitor representing a company in litigation before a court when you were nothing of the kind. At no stage have you ever been a solicitor and have no qualifications to be a solicitor." He said the public reposed considerable confidence in the solicitor's profession and any erosion of that confidence is a serious matter. Judge Richardson ordered Mr. Lipscombe to pay £20,000 toward the SRA's costs within 2 years. A former Metropolitan Police officer who has been banned from policing over her handling of 2 incidents of flashing by Wayne Couzens says she has received hundreds of hate messages. Samantha Lee, who was 29, also known as Officer Naughty, claims she has been thrown under a bus and that people have messaged her saying that she should have been raped and murdered instead of Sarah Everard. The OnlyFans star did not make the correct investigative inquiries over 2 incidents where the killer exposed himself to female staff members at a McDonald's restaurant in Swanley, Kent, days before he kidnapped, raped and murdered Sarah Everard, a disciplinary panel found. The panel found she also lied about her actions when questioned. Her behaviour was found to be amounted to gross misconduct and she is now banned from serving in any police force ever again. She had recently told that she is being looked at as if she is just as guilty as Mr. Couzens. The tribunal heard that she attended the restaurant on the 3rd of March and interviewed manager Sam Taylor hours before the 33-year-old marketing executive, Miss Everard, was kidnapped by the former firearms officer in Clapham, southwest London. Claimed she believed CCTV at the restaurant was deleted automatically so there would be no footage of Mr. Couzens or the offence. In his evidence, Mr. Taylor said that he had shown Miss Lee the CCTV footage and told her it could be downloaded onto a USB stick. He also said that he explained to her that Mr. Couzens' registration plate could be seen in the CCTV footage of the second incident. For her part, Miss Lee denied that this was the case, saying that he had told her that there was no CCTV. Miss Lee said that some of the abusive messages say that she should have been the one kidnapped and murdered, in fact that she was being blamed completely for the killing. Some of them have even been reported to the police. She said, "I think I'm seen as this horrendous, awful person that has let an absolutely heinous crime take place. And I'm being looked at as just as guilty as Mr. Couzens is. But literally, there was nothing that I could have done that would have changed the outcome. I don't want any sympathy at all. All I want people is to understand that there is nothing that I could have done. It's been a case of, let's go in at the bottom, rather than going up at the higher people at the top. The only person that should have been blamed for that awful, horrendous crime is Wayne Couzens. After the ruling, she said she had been made a scapegoat and says she feels she has been thrown under the bus. She said, "At the time, I am a young female PC. I am the only person who has faced any disciplinary action in relation to this. There is only one person who is responsible for everything that happened, and that is Wayne Couzens. I have never lied." In March, Mr. Couzens was sentenced to 19 months in prison after admitting 3 counts of indecent exposure, including flashing at McDonald's restaurant on 14th of February and the 27th of February 2021. He was already serving life behind bars for kidnapping Miss Everard as she walked home through Clapham, South London on March 3rd, 2021 and then murdering her. A third indecent exposure incident was related to when Mr. Couzens exposed himself to a female cyclist on a Kent country lane in November 2020. A murderer will serve at least 14 years in prison after brutally killing a man by repeatedly stamping on his head. Alex Banda, 28 and of Poole, was handed a life sentence on Thursday, May the 25th at Winchester Crown Court after being convicted of the murder of 47-year-old Daniel Upson. He will serve a minimum term of 14 years. The charge related to a violent and sustained attack on Mr. Upson in Chapman's Hotel in Francis Road, Bournemouth, on the night of Friday the 16th of December. Mr. Banda was also found guilty of an assault relating to an attack on another man at the same address on the same night. During the trial, the jury heard how Mr. Banda had accused Mr. Upson of stealing drugs from him and had launched a violent assault on his victim, punching him repeatedly before kicking him in the head and stamping on him. Mr. Upson was left unconscious in a room, and Mr. Banda went into a different room in the shared accommodation building and assaulted another man by punching him. Police were called the following morning after Mr. Upson was found unresponsive. Following inquiries, Mr. Banda was arrested at an address in Wareham on Saturday, December the 17th, 2022. Blood staining was found on his trainers, found to be a match for Mr. Upson, as well as on his sleeve of his jacket. After a post-mortem examination, a pathologist concluded that the cause of Mr. Upson's death was a combined effect of his head injuries and drug intoxication. Detective Inspector Neil Ferd of Dorset Police's Major Crime Investigation Team said, "Our thoughts remain with the family of Mr. Upson at this time. I would again like to thank all the officers, Crown Prosecution Services and witnesses who have helped secure this conviction and sentence."